Once you've added sorts to your report, which will return results in a specific order, and you will have to go in and figure out where one sorted piece of information ends and the next one starts. For example, if you sorted by the company 1 and then company 2 and then company 3, and then you sorted by balance in descending to ascending order, then you'd have to go in and all of company 1's information would be sorted, and then it would go from highest balance to lowest for company 1, and then company 2 would start and it would go from highest to lowest balance in company 2. So those are sorts that you can have, and you just physically have to go in and view where the one ends by the lowest balance and then the next highest balance starts for the next company. There's no physical separation. So to get that physical separation, you can create groupings in your report. When you create groupings, what you're going to do is start with a broad group like company, so you could separate company 1, company 2, company 3. Then you're going to, as you add more groups, drill down to the information that you want to group together. So you could group by company and then by collector and then by days past due if you'd like. So to do that, what you would do is start in your detail section and left click and then highlight add section and move over to group header. You can add a group header and a group footer for each new group that you create. And you just have to use something that is already selected as a sort, or you can create a formula to use that will create a group for you. So I'm going to find my sort field collector, and I'll click OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a group footer that will come in handy when we start to work on formulas and totals and things like that. So now I have physically separated information in my report. So this is going to separate the first collector and all the contract information that collector is responsible for. Then it's going to go to the next collector and then the next collector and group all of the detailed information for each collector separately. Now, just formatting wise, to make it easier to see the separations, I'm going to go ahead and highlight my first cell in my footer section, hold the shift button on my keypad, click on the last field or last cell in that row, and I'm going to come up to the background color button and select a color that I can use to highlight the actual separation. Just for me, I'm going to go ahead and left click on row 6 and insert one row between row 6 and then row 7. That way I have an additional separation in my report. You don't have to do that. It's just something I like to do. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click in the collector or the group header. I'm going to select the first cell, hold my shift button down, click on the last cell, and this time I'm going to merge these fields together. And I'm going to go into my category data and I'm going to pull in the X collector from my ConInfo table. This way it'll actually put the collector's name on the report for me. So here in the group header section, I'm getting that physical separation. Here I'm putting a title with each separation. So now I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to use the same background color I used, and that way the more groups I add, I can use different colors to separate them when I run the report. Alright, so now if we run this report or preview it, we'll see all the data in our report returned and separated or grouped by collector. I don't need to change any filters, so I'll click OK there. And here we have our first separation. All of these contracts do not have a collector ID associated with them, but as I move down my report, you can see here I have a collector ID. And you see here, I have the group footer for the first one, and then remember I added that extra row. That gives me a little extra physical separation when I view the report. That's all it does, is just put another or a space in between each section or each group of data. So you can scroll through the report and you'll see the physical separations between each collector group and all the data returned for those collectors. Now I could go and I could create even more groupings. I could do the days past due and group those. I could group by company. I could group by anything I'd like, and it would separate that information as well. And remember, it's going to go from broad and then narrow in as you add your groups. Now, if I added additional groups, I would just go back to detail, click add section, and add another group header. Select the group header, and you can see it adds it under the one that already exists. So you're going broad and then you're narrowing down. It would do the same thing for footers. It would put it right above the footer that I've created originally. So that's where I was saying at the beginning, you'd put company first and then collector and then keep drilling from there. If you realize you don't want the extra footer or header for a group, you can delete it. If you need that piece to be more broad than the one you originally put in, you can move them up and down. And you can shade a section for more of that physical separation when you actually run the report. You can have shading done so that there's a visual separation more than just the background color. You could also modify a section if you needed to change the group header from collector to something else. You can just click and then modify and select a new sort. Just remember, they have to be a sort before you can group by them. Once you're finished, save your changes and you can close the report and you'll be taken back to the main landing page.